I'm John Wilker, the organizer of 360 IDEP. I hope you enjoy this session recording, but first I wanted to mention one thing. We've served the community since 2009, and over the past few years we've had to take on debt in an effort to keep the conference alive. After several unforeseen challenges, not the least of which is a pandemic of indefinite duration, we've had to make the hard choice to end the conference as we're now facing over $100,000 in debt. As a result of requests from the community of how they can help, we've created a GoFundMe campaign. If you're inclined and able, please consider donating to help keep 360 IDEP going. The QR code after this will link you to the campaign. Thank you. Enjoy the recording.
Okay, so I'm Josh Holtz. Fastlane is going to be today's topic. Automation, I guess tips, tricks is kind of what I'm going to show. Pretty much what I like to do with it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm originally from Milwaukee, currently live in Chicago, not too far from here. Free time, I like to rock climb, wakeboard, somewhat extreme activities, hopefully not too extreme. This is also Hudson. He's my everything right now. One other thing about me before we get going, I do have a stutter. I hate talking, but love socializing, which makes having a stutter terrible. Yet I'm on stage speaking publicly in front of a bunch of you. So I hate this and love this. So we will see how this goes. Basically what a stutter is I have a hard time saying words, usually small talk, introductions, my name, proper nouns, ordering food. So if I'm just hanging out with friends, socializing, you might not know it. Me trying to say my name or other things will struggle, but hey, we'll get through it. This is where I work right now. It's a mobile subscription platform making subscriptions super easy. I've been at RevenueCat since December of last year. It's my full-time job. I enjoy it. If you have any questions about RevenueCat, you can talk to me later. It's not what this talk's about. Fastlane is what this talk is about. So I became a core contributor of Fastlane starting in 2015, which was a whole 7 years ago, I think. I took over the project as lead maintainer in 2018, so about 4 years ago. I was doing it part-time for a while and then full-time. Now I'm back to doing it part-time. So that's kind of my Fastlane summary there. What is Fastlane? How many of you are familiar with Fastlane? Okay, we'll change my talk up. Okay. So that's awesome. I probably don't have to explain too much then, but we'll go through it. Fastlane is the easiest way to automate deployments, betas, releases, whatever you're doing mobile-wise. You can manage provisioning profiles and certificates, run tests and take screenshots, build binaries, upload to TestFlight App Store. It's not just iOS. You can do APKs as well, React Native. I do a Godot game. I automate all that stuff. So it's not just for iOS, just for these things. It's pretty open. But it was originally built for like iOS, Apple platform stuff. So how to use Fastlane? You install it on your computer through Ruby gems or Homebrew. Installing it is much easier than me saying it, thankfully. So it is a CLI tool. It is also a scripting tool, which if you're familiar with like a rake file or some of those things, it's this nice little like DSL specific kind of thing, which I will talk to. So it's a CLI tool, it's a scripting tool, but it's also a Ruby SDK. So we're going to go through a little bit there. So this is the CLI example. You can call it one command. It can upload to the App Store for you. It may prompt you with some information, but you pretty much just give it your path to your IPA, and then you want to say submit for review maybe, and then it may look like this. There might be some more garbage in there, but essentially this is how you upload to the App Store without touching Xcode at all. That's just a high-level example before we get into stuff. The scripting example, so this is a what I think most people probably are familiar with. It is a Ruby file, but it is like a specialized one where we add our own stuff into it, which we will get into more of this. But basically, you can break down your script into different tasks. So you can just upload to TestFlight if you want, or upload to the App Store, capture screenshots, build app, go to Slack. You can script all of that. You can do a bunch of other stuff, but this is just high-level example. These are the Fastlane specific things. Actions are what these tools are called over here. So increment build numbers in action, build app is an action. We have a bunch of those, but these are just some of the most popular examples. To call this, you call release, which is the lane that we have over here. And then when you run that, you can't see it, but it does a lot of stuff here. So this one's compiling the app. It does some SPM pulling stuff down. It then packages the app here into something that you can upload to the App Store, and then all of a sudden you save time. So that it's more fun to watch it go brr on the screen. On slides, it's not as fun. But from an SDK point, you can also use it directly without any scripting. So here's an example. You may have a API that you're building that you want to submit to the App Store. You can call our spaceship part, which is a part that interacts with App Store Connect. So you could actually use Fastlane on your backend to submit to the App Store and do a whole bunch of stuff. So it's pretty open to however you want to use it. I think most people probably use it for the scripting purpose, but this is an example of how it also does get used. Okay, so that's Fastlane. Tips, tricks, so we're gonna go over now some of the fun stuff. So we're gonna go over like how you discover what Fastlane all has, exactly like what you can all do with it, give you kind of a few different like options of what to do. How to make your script a little bit reusable and composable, make it a little bit cleaner, and then make it cleaner again, which we'll get into that. Syncing certificates and profiles, which is one of my favorite parts. We'll also nuke my certs live on stage, which will be fun. Yeah, I'm super excited about that. And then UX and documentation. So kind of like after you create this, how you can remember how to use it, how your team can use it to make it just a good experience for everyone. So discovering tools and actions. Go to our docs. Like that's kind of what they're for. It's pretty obvious that docs are always the best place to look for stuff. I always forget about docs in everything I use. So just want to highlight docs first because there is a ton there. Actions has its own little tab over here, which I'll zoom in more. But there's a ton of different types of actions for testing, building, screenshots, project code signing, documentation, beta, push, releasing your app, source control, notifications, App Store Connect, miscellaneous, deprecated things, which please don't use, and then plugins. So like if you want to go to like code signing, you can create certs, you can sync your certs and profiles, you can create certs, you can import certs, you can re-sign your binaries, which I still don't understand how that works, but we do it. Notarize, but there's a whole bunch of different things that you can look at. So I don't want to list them all, but this is a great place to go look at what is all possible. There's source control stuff for like Git branch. You can create branches, push different branches remotely, which you can do some really cool things. So actions are built into Fastlane. Those are ones that me and the team maintain. They're a core part of Fastlane. We also have plugins, which are here. So these are third-party actions, essentially. We don't own this code. They are owned by other people. So Microsoft has one of the most popular ones for uploading to App Center, which is pretty cool. We have the Firebase app distribution one, which is also popular. You can create badge overlays, versioning, upload things to Sentry. Like there's a ton of different things here. People are creative, they make their own. So if you are looking to do some unique stuff, always look in these sources first. so you don't have to write your own code because writing code is not always fun. So use other people's code first, it's fine. So docs, I figured I would show the site instead of the screenshots. If you hate looking at websites and just want to use a command line all the time, you can also search for actions through the command line, which Fastlane Actions does that. So we'll just go over here and you can run Fastlane Actions. And you can, oh, shoot, hold on. I typoed it wrong once. There we go, okay, there we go. So you can see all the actions here if you want to. It is a bit more of a pain to look at, but if you don't have a web browser installed for whatever reason, you can look at the CLI. So that's cool. You can search plugins the same way. So you can search plugins. So if you want to search for a plugin for Amazon S3, if you want to upload something to S3, it's going to take a bit. There are some actions there. So you can search on the website, you can search in the CLI, it's super cool. Documentation for actions, you can also look directly in your command line as well. So if you type Fastlane action, we'll see what the last one I did was, Slack. So you can send stuff to Slack. You can see all the different options here. So you can put a message in there, you can send pre-text, you can put your channel. Everything is documented in CLI and on web. So you shouldn't have to ask me questions about anything ever. Hopefully not, but documentation is great. We saw this documentation in the terminal already. I just wanted to put it up there. Search plugins, we did that. Cool, all right. That GIF doesn't turn out very well on screen. But so that's kind of a lot of what Fastlane has. Tip and trick is to just look at docs. So now what to automate? There's so many things you can automate. You can automate all of it. You can automate none of it, which some of my apps don't use Fastlane because they're not worth it. But, or you can automate some of it. So it's really up to you, and I don't care which ones of these you do. But so kind of to go into detail on what to automate, tedious tasks and time-intensive tasks are kind of what I like to do. You can, if you don't want to like automate or don't want to build stuff on your own computer, you can use it to run stuff on the cloud, Circle CI, GitHub Actions, GitLab, a different Mac Mini in your house or something like that. I've ran on a Raspberry Pi for fun once, don't recommend, but you can do it. And then you always don't have to like have no touch automation. You can use Fastlane to kind of like guide you through a release process. Which I'll go through some of this too. So tedious tasks and time-intensive tasks. I think there's 3 of them here. So taking screenshots is super annoying. With Fastlane, you can use the tool, I think, oh man, remember this tool, off the top of my head, there's so many. Snapshot, that's the name of it. Snapshot is the tool that we have. You can also call, I think it's called like take screenshots or something. But it uses iOS UI tests to automatically take screenshots. You can take them in English, French, and automate all of that, which is awesome. So you can automate 50 different languages at once, if there's that many. I think, nope, there's 38 in the App Store last time I checked. So you can automate all of those. Don't have to touch them ever again. It does take some time to actually code up the automation, but you can run them and then forget about them when your app updates, run them again, things will update. It is great. I don't do it on personal apps because I don't localize things. But if you do localize things, I recommend it a lot. Post-upload processing. So after you upload your app to App Store Connect, you might want to do stuff, share to the App Center S3, download your desymbolication files and upload them to like Sentry. Fastlane is great for that. So after you upload your build, you can wait for it to be done. Fastlane will just pull and pull and pull until it's done, and then you can call your actions to share your build or your desymbolication files, email people that you made a new build, post on Slack. It's pretty great. So you don't have to manually tell people that you made a new build. You just let Fastlane do all that communication for you, and you just go for a walk. In-app purchase creation, this is a fun one. So this kind of ties my full-time job and my open source job together. But creating in-app purchases in the App Store can be a huge pain, especially if you create stuff dynamically. If you have a game that you have to create a lot of content items for, nobody wants to use the App Store Connect dashboard. I'm sorry, Apple. So if you can script all of those things out and sync your IAP creation, why not do that? App Store Connect API 2.0, which was released this last dub, made this a lot easier. It's not in Fastlane yet because it's a whole thing, but it'll be awesome, and that's another thing you can do. So using external cloud computing, I briefly touched on this, but if you do have an app that has a lot of tests in it that you don't want to run on your own machine, or it takes forever to compile, which don't talk to me about shortening that stuff. I'm not an expert in compiling, or long archiving time, you want to offload that off your own machine so you can do other stuff. Fastlane is great for that. You run it on Circle CI when you push up to a new PR or something, it can run those tests, make the app, or when you merge to main, make a tag, whatever it is, Fastlane can do that stuff there. Pull request specific builds, this one is actually pretty cool. I have some slides after this that talk about this. But if you want to test your build on each PR, you can do that with Fastlane. So I have like a Circle CI setup where when a PR is made, it'll run Fastlane, make a staging build, post it up to S3, and then post that S3 link in the GitHub PR, so anybody who is reviewing that PR can test that specific build. It's kind of fun. Sometimes a little bit extra, but I mean, it's fun. Continuous deployment, so I kind of touched on that again. If you make a new tag, merge to main, however your Git flow process works, I don't know. You can just push to the App Store straight away from there, and you don't have to manually do anything ever again. So this is my example, might be kind of hard to read, of my PR specific build. So this was actually an Ionic app, which was cross-platform, but I made this example apparently 3 years ago. But when this PR was made, it made an Android app and iOS app on Circle CI, uploaded them to S3 and then posted them in the comments. So my clients who want to test like this specific feature could install these builds. I don't have to send it to them. I don't have to make a weird thing on test flight for this specific thing. They can just go to this PR and download them, and it's pretty cool. So like my Circle CI YAML file thing kind of looked like this, which there's nothing secret about that. It just runs a lane down in the bottom. And then this was what my fast file looked like. I would prepare a build, which I think that may have bumped a version or something, build, then compiled it in Xcode. I did some work with S3 bucket in environment variables or something and getting the PR and PR number from Circle CI. Uploaded that to S3 in some directory so it didn't get over, so it was a unique path. And then after it was uploaded to S3, I would comment on a PR with the URL. So it looks pretty simple, but all of these actions and lanes actually do a lot more work. But it's a fun use case that I've used quite a few times. So now, like developing in a process way, automation always doesn't mean no touch or no input. Some people like that. Sometimes you want Fastlane to kind of walk you through things. Guided process, where you kind of have manual steps. So I think I have an example here. No, okay, I'm going to talk about things first and then show my example. So Fastlane does have interactive things that you can do. So this one is our prompt APIs that you can use. So you can get input, which is just text. You can have a yes/no confirmation. Up here. UI input, UI confirm, UI select. You can select stuff from a list. And we have a password thing apparently too. Did not know that. That's cool. So like you might prompt a list of schemes that you want to build or something, or add text for a change log, or a confirmation of if you actually super want to deploy this for some reason. And then we also have error messages too that you can show, or important messages. This one is less important to this, but I figured I would show it. So UI.message, important, error, you can display things. But for some reason, if somebody does something wrong, you can exit out of your flow if they entered a wrong changelog or actually selected no to the UI.confirm. This is all, yeah, so this kind of leads up to what I'm showing here. So has anybody used CloudKit schemas before? Not many CloudKit schemas, maybe. Okay, so with CloudKit schemas, you have to deploy your development changes to production before you push your app to the App Store. If you don't, your App Store build kind of breaks because the CloudKit schema doesn't match what your app is looking at, and then users yell at you for things. So I messed this up quite a few times with one of my apps. So before I release my app, I actually, up here, I remind myself to make sure that I deployed my CloudKit schema. It saved me a bunch of times, and it's kind of stupid that I have to remind myself to do this. But so before Fastlane does anything, it asks me to make sure that I actually deployed my thing properly. And then I have another prompt here for UI.confirm. So when I'm uploading to TestFlight, do I actually want to distribute it externally, or do I want it to just distribute it to myself to test? Not every build I push up to TestFlight I want everybody to see, because it might just be a test build, it might be ugly, who knows. So I have a confirmation for that as well. And then when I'm bumping my version number, there's a UI.input down at the bottom over here that allows me to input what I want it to be. So I might not be bumping it up higher. It might just be it might be a build number that gets upped, but this is kind of how I would use some input to guide my process through releasing my app. Okay. I think we're going to get to some live coding-ish here soon. So reusable and composable fast files. Yes, okay, so we're going to live code this. We're going to show a large fast file example, split it into multiple lanes, and maybe make a custom action depending on how much time we have. Okay, so we're going to go to one of my fast files over here. Here we go. Okay, is that good enough text? Can everybody see that? Yes? Okay, cool. So this is from my latest app that does a release to the App Store. Well, it syncs my certificates with Match right here, which we'll talk about Match later. It then builds my app using Xcode build command line with some configurations. We then upload it to the App Store. I create a notification to alert me when it's done in case I'm not paying attention. And then I commented out Slack because I don't have a Slack integration, but you may want to Slack your team that, hey, this thing is done. What slide was I on? Reusable and composable. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do here is I also then have a beta lane down here that kind of does similar stuff. You can see we call match again here, and then build app again here. So these are the same in the two lanes. I don't want to copy and paste stuff, but I did for this example. And then notifications down here as well. So lanes can call other lanes, which is kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new lane called build, I think. We're going to call it build. And what build is going to do is it's just going to take the apps or the certificate and profile syncing and the building of the app, because they're the exact same for both this use case. And it's going to go into build down here. And then release lane is going to call build. And then in my beta lane, which does the exact same thing, I'm going to delete these and just call build. So now we don't have to look at build because it's kind of a private lane, but here we go. So now release and beta look a little bit cleaner. They both call build, which syncs certs, and then builds the release version because that's what they both do. So build is now reusable a little bit. Okay. So build's reusable now, and we can make it a little bit configurable and reusable, but we're not going to do that right now. But our notification thing is kind of the same way here. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll call it note. It's not important. So then down here, we'll just call note, and then we'll replace this with note. And Like it's I deleted it. Okay, hold on. No, okay. So, wait, did I not? Oh, I didn't do it here either, did I? No, okay. So my release lane went from like taking up the whole screen to now it's just in 10-ish lines, which not bad. But the cool thing now too is for some reason if build is being buggy, I don't have to run my release or beta lane to test build. I can just run build because it's its own thing now. Oh, wait. Oh, notes down there. We don't want that. There we go. Okay, bug fixed. So now build's its own thing. So we're gonna. Okay, first live demo here. Build. Okay, so ideally this should work. This is gonna. This is gonna work now. This is going to sync my certs, so it's going to make sure that my distribution cert, and I think I have 5 provisioning profiles for this app because I have a bunch of extensions. It's going to make sure those are installed. It's installing them. Now it's going to run Xcode build, which pulls down all of my SPM thingies that I use. And then it's going to take forever to compile this for some reason, and then it'll go faster. But it will build the app and put the IPA somewhere. So for some reason, if this was messing up, I don't have to worry about it being released afterwards. I can just run build and make sure everything is still good. We probably don't have to wait for it. It might be done soon. Okay, cool. So it's signing stuff, and code sign takes a bit sometimes. Cool. So we synced my certificates, provisioning profiles, and built the app. Thank you. We didn't nuke my certs yet, though, so it's okay. Split in multiple lanes with private lane. Cool. Okay, so if we don't want build to like be a thing that we can call externally from the command line, you can actually just put private underscore in front of it, and now these will never be called externally. They're just like internal private methods. You don't have to do it. It's kind of nice. Cool. So, I went too far. Okay, show making custom action. We'll skip that one for now. You can make your own actions. Okay. I forgot the command for it. New action. If you want to create your own private action, instead of having a lane, you can do that. Cool. So if we go to the EWQ. Okay, so this gives you an action template where you can put your code inside of run. You can define your description details. You can give it configuration options here so that your lanes are like self-descriptive, just like Fastlane's built-in actions are. I do this if I have something that I want to reuse between projects. We're not going to go into this because I don't think I'm going to have enough time. But if you have questions about creating your own action, look in the docs and then ask me. Hopefully the docs are great. Okay, so next thing. Lean and clean fast file. This GIF I think feels perfect for Fastlane. But okay, so cool. We're going to live code it. I don't have any notes. So this is our fast file right now. I don't personally love it. I think it's messy looking. I have a bunch of stuff hard coded here, which it's not great. I can't view it all in one screen nicely. Like all the options make it hard to see like what the steps are actually doing. So what I like to do personally, Josh's best practice. I don't know if it's everybody's best practice, but I'm going to move all these configurations into a .env file. So .env file is an environment variable file that lives in my repository right now that Fastlane can pick up on. So if we go look at our Fastlane action build app, we'll see some of the options that I'm using. Some of the options that I'm using here, we're going to scroll up a bit. Scheme. So right now I have this scheme option hard-coded in my fast file. There's an env var called Jim's scheme, which is associated with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our options that I have hard-coded in my fast file, move them over into our .env file to make the fast file super clean. I did pre-code this a little bit, so I'm just going to delete. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so we'll start with match. Match is the grossest because we have type app store. I have like 5 app identifiers showing there, and then a get URL and a get branch. But I have this .env file here where I'm just going to uncomment a bunch of this. Hold on. Okay, so now I did this to save time, but you see we have match type, match app identifiers, match get URL, and match get branch. So all the same information that was in my fast file is now in this file. So if I go back to my fast file, I can actually just delete all of this. There. So what match will do now is it'll look for the env vars first before looking for anything that's past hard-coded in the options. So we can actually do this for every action. Every action has its configuration options mapped to env vars. So if we go back into the .env file, I have some build app ones over here where I say what scheme I'm going to use, what configuration, output directory, and some extra export options. And then uploading to the App Store has the exact same ones. So if I go back to the fast file now, I can actually get rid of, did I do this? Yeah, I can get rid of all these. I can get rid of nope, I can't get rid of that one. My build lane now looks like that. So things are a little bit cleaner now. Somewhat cleaner. But everything now is stored in my .env file. So my fast file is clean, which is nice because then I can take this exact fast file and move it to a new project. Don't touch the fast file at all. But then I just have to update this .env file with new app IDs over here and maybe a new scheme. But my fast file then never needs to get retouched. I can reuse it from project to project to project. And when you're looking through the fast file, you can then clearly see what it's actually doing and not have your eyes distracted by all the different configuration options. I think that's that one. Oh yeah, so with .env, Fastlane will automatically look for just the Fastlane.env file. That's the default one, but you can load others as well. So what I like to do is have a .env.secret file, which I don't commit to GitHub. So that one will store like my my app-specific app-specific password, maybe my match get URL, maybe some API keys for like Sentry or something like that. So they're in a .env file. Fastlane can still pick them up, but they're not being committed. So then what I got to do then is run Fastlane lane --env, and it'll pick up whichever env names you pass in there. So that way you can commit your .env file with a lot of your configurations, but your secrets can live in their own file. You don't commit them, and that way you don't reveal stuff accidentally, which I have before. So, okay, signing certificates and profiles. So this is Match. This is what I talked to you about a little bit before. Match is one of Fastlane's, I think, most fun, useful tools. It syncs your code signing. So what that means is, or I guess an example is when you have distribution certs in App Store Connect, you can only have 2 of one type. But you might have a team full of 50 engineers that maybe might need them. And before Match, you might have shared them through email or Slack, just dropping these P12 files to each other, and then it gets bad. And then someone nukes one, and then one that you have doesn't work, so you got to call somebody who has access to go create a new one and then resend new ones out, and it gets kind of bad. Or you might be like me, who has multiple machines and just got a new one, and I don't have any dev certs on this one. And actually this morning, I synced my profiles and certs onto here without having to create new ones. So the way this works then is Fastlane will create certs and profiles for you, upload them to some source. We support Git and Google Cloud and S3. It'll upload your profiles and certs encrypted, AES 256, to those sources, and it'll store them securely. And then what Match will do when you run it, it will pull those down. So you can actually use Match to sync your certs and profiles on your dev machines, on your CI, anything that has access to that repository and the password to decrypt can nicely get your certs. So you don't have to do manual passing, exporting. It is super nice. So I'm going to nuke my certs and recreate everything and then send a bill to the App Store. So what we'll do here is I'm going to delete my distribution cert from keychain access. And then what I'll show you is, so these are actually, this is where my profiles and certs are stored right now in this private repository that I'm showing to the world. It's fine. So certs, I have distribution profiles. This is currently what they look like. They're trash. But I'm going to delete these. It's going to get deleted from App Store Connect. Fastlane nuke. Nope, Match. Nuke. Okay, cool. No, nuke. It's going to ask me to confirm some stuff. Do you really want to nuke everything listed above? Yes. Okay, so it deleted my profiles from App Store Connect, deleted them over here from my repository. They no longer exist. Oh no, what am I gonna do? It's fine. What I have here is I can just run iOS release and Match will go look, be like, hey, you don't have any distribution certs. I'm gonna create new ones for you and everything will be fine. So we're gonna run Fastlane iOS release. So how this works then is it will check my repository, see if I have any files there, and then check App Store Connect to find all of the certs and profiles, see if they match. If they don't match, that's why it's called Match, it will create new ones. So right now I'm creating a new distribution cert, and then it's creating my 5 new profiles from my main app and the 4 extensions. It takes a little bit of time now. Okay, cool. So it actually created me a brand new cert. The cert's name is right here. Thank you. I didn't do any of the work. It was all Fastlane. So that's Match. It's super magical and it's awesome. I use it for myself. You can use it with your big team. I highly recommend using it so that you don't have to play with or lose certs. You can totally use the automatic checkbox if you want for signing in Xcode. But if you watch my talk from last 360 iDev, I talked about code signing, and I manually do it for fun. But if you have any questions, always ask me about code signing or watch my talk from last year. But now we're uploading a binary to the App Store. We're gonna give that a little bit of time. UX and documentation. Okay, I think I got some time for this one. Okay, it's still going. So you might not always be the one running your own Fastlane lanes. You might have a team that does it. You might be the person who's in charge of doing your automation. Or time passes, months pass, and you forget what your own lanes actually are. Or you're running on a new machine and you don't have your ZSH history to know what to call. So you should document stuff. It's great. So this is an example of some lanes here. One's called build, one's called release, one's called beta. They sound really similar. You might not know what to do. So what Fastlane can actually do is you can add this DESC description thing above your lanes, which is kind of like a self-documenting thing. It actually looks gross in code, but it looks cooler when it's actually done doing stuff. So what this DESC thing actually does, besides just putting comments above your lanes, is Fastlane will make a markdown file for you of your lanes and the descriptions that you have above it. So This is a very simple one, but you can see I have iOS build. It says, okay, build sync certificates and profiles, builds binary, used for production staging and testing environments. And beta just distributes builds. So like you're like, okay, that's what I want to do. Beta is the lane I want to use. What you can also, oh, cool. So we upload to the App Store. What you can also do is you can run Fastlane lanes. Shoot, I don't have any descriptions here. Never mind, we're not going to do that. Okay, scratch that. Going back, some lanes you can pass options to, which I haven't really talked about yet. But if you want to like build an app to a specific scheme, options is something you can pass in. So in this example, I could just pass options to any, or I may forget to pass options, and then something might break here because I didn't know exactly what value to put. So I do have a comment, there we go. Okay, I do have a comment here that like says use production staging and test environments, but somebody might not know the correct syntax. So I added more docs here that say, okay, scheme is the option you want to use, and use prod staging test. An example is then you're going to run Fastlane build scheme : I skipped quotes here, but prod. So somebody can go see the docs and, oh, I have the wrong image. Oh, no. Okay, well, this markdown file shouldn't look like this. It should actually show more details about this stuff that I have here. But you can describe as much as you want, or you don't have to use it at all, but it is a nice tool to show what lanes do. So you can also run Fastlane lanes. If you don't want to look at the markdown file, you can look in your command line to look at what the lanes do. So here, Fastlane iOS build shows sync certificates, blah, blah, blah. You can use schemes, and then you run Fastlane build scheme prod. iOS beta is the exact same way. Okay, lane configurations. I think I can do this in the few minutes that I have left. This one is cool. I use this one quite often, but if you have a lane called, we're going to call it I'm out of time, so we're going to call it out. Terrible name, doesn't make sense. But if you needed to do a specific thing, so let's say we're going to pass it a scheme, and you want options scheme, and like it's going to require a scheme because you're going to pass it to build scheme. Okay, but somebody might not pass scheme, or they might want to load it from somewhere else. So what you can actually do is you can look from an env variable first. So you can call it like app scheme. So if it finds the app scheme in your .env, it'll load it from there first. Then it'll default to options. But if they don't pass it into options on accident, you could then call ui.input and say scheme. Syntax there. So like what this is nice now, it's not really self-documenting, but it's providing that guided experience. Well, we might also have some, that is, okay, that's unfortunate. Sorry. Well, you might have like scheme does, pass prod something. And then here you could then validate scheme is properly. But having this line right here allows for a bunch of configurations. You can run it on CI. You could configure your app scheme there. You could pass it in if you're doing something locally, or if somebody has no idea what they're doing, they just run this lane out. It will then ask them which scheme to use. So that's kind of my documentation user experience thing. Make it easy on the person that's going to be using this, because it probably won't be you, and if it's you in the future, and you're a different person. So that's all. Porky Pig seems very perfect for this, because he's also a stuttering pig. So that's all, folks. I'm on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. I talk about Fastlane, Revenue Cat subscriptions. Indie Dev Monday is my newsletter for indie devs. If you want to look at that too, I have something every week that features a new dev. I also talk about parenting and all that stuff. So it's a good time. Follow me on Twitter. I have zero time for questions, but that's fine because I don't do questions well anyway because of my stutter. So if you want to talk to me outside after this, or here, or wherever I am standing, that's great. Or ask me in Slack. I do have to fly home tomorrow morning. So if you want to talk to me in person, it'll have to be tonight or by 6 a.m. tomorrow. So that's Fastlane automation stuff. Hit me up if you have any questions. Thank you.